Okay, so today we're going to dive into something that's been making waves uh, in the HR world.
Yeah.
It's this article, The Emotional Burden HR Carries, by Sylvia Ola.
Right.
And she really takes aim at this whole idea of, HR folks, constantly saying they're emotionally burdened.
Yeah.
But she kind of flips it around and says, like, wait a minute, who's actually putting the pressure on?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
uh, we want to unpack her argument and, like, see how it stacks up against, what's happening out there, in actual workplaces.
Yeah.
For our listeners who are all about, getting those insights without the fluff,
Right.
you're in the right place.
Absolutely.
So right off the bat, Ola points out this trend she sees online,
Yeah.
especially on LinkedIn, and it's mostly women in HR, who are saying, like, oh, we're so misunderstood, we're always there for everyone.
Always a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, carrying everyone's
Love it.
problems.
Yeah. And it's interesting because she picks up on this theme of, HR professionals, particularly women in HR, feeling like they're constantly in this support role.
Right.
Like they're the ones everyone comes to vent to and unload their emotional baggage on.
And she's asking, is that a fair expectation?
Exactly. Is it realistic to expect HR to be this, all-encompassing emotional support system for an entire organization?
Right. And it's like, is that even their job?
Exactly.
And she goes even further and asks, is this focus on listening and empathy? Is this like a feminine trait?
Yeah.
Like, is it just assumed that women are better at this?
It's like it's ingrained in them.
Yeah. And are they struggling because of this?
It's a really interesting question because she's kind of touching on this idea of like societal expectations almost.
Right.
Like are we putting women in HR in this box and then kind of like expecting them to naturally excel at these emotional labor tasks.
Exactly.
But then Ola kind of takes a sharp turn, and this is where it gets really interesting. I think
Yeah.
she starts to question how often HR is actually dealing with these really intense, emotionally draining situations.
Right.
Like she's pushing back on this narrative that HR is constantly in this like emotional pressure cooker.
Yeah. She's like, hold on, is it really that bad?
Yeah, exactly.
And she even questions, like, the need for, specialized mental health support just for HR.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that really necessary?
It's almost like she's saying, look, HR deals with sensitive stuff for sure, but is it really so uniquely challenging that it requires this like extraordinary level of support?
And this leads to her, like, bigger critique of the HR function as a whole,
Right.
where she basically says it's become this, like, vague feel-good mishmash.
Yeah, she uses that phrase vague feel-good mishmash, and I think it's very deliberate
It is.
because she's trying to paint this picture of, HR getting caught up in all these activities that are maybe not so essential.
Yeah, she lists them out, like Lego towers and team-building games,
Yeah. Yoga sessions.
healthy eating campaigns.
Yeah, like all this stuff that, while it might sound, fun and engaging on the surface,
Right.
she's questioning whether it's actually detracting from the core responsibilities of HR.
And then comes a line that, just makes you stop and think.
Yeah, this is the one that really hits hard.
She says, HR, you are not the mother of the workforce. If you have unfulfilled maternal instincts, adopt a pet. The workplace is not the place to satisfy them.
Wow.
Like, talk about a mic drop moment.
It's like she's drawing this very clear boundary, like
Every
HR needs to stay in its lane.
Yeah, she's saying this is a professional environment,
Right.
not a family therapy session.
And she's also pushing back against this idea that HR should be like this surrogate parent figure for employees.
Right.
Which can be a slippery slope, I think.
Absolutely.
But then the whole article takes this like huge turn, and it's so brilliant.
Yeah, she basically flips the script.
She does. She goes from talking about the emotional burden HR claims to have to the emotional labor that HR might be putting on everyone else
Exactly.
through all these initiatives and frameworks.
Looks like she's saying, HR, you're not the only ones feeling the pressure.
Right.
You might actually be creating a lot of it for the rest of us.
Yeah. This is where her argument really starts to resonate with the whole idea of employee engagement.
Right.
Like this constant push to be passionate about your work.
To love your company.
To feel this deep sense of belonging.
And it's like, are we just supposed to fake it if we don't feel that way?
Exactly. And what's the emotional cost of doing that?
Right.
Of constantly trying to perform this like ideal version of ourselves at work.
And that's where she brings in this concept of emotional labor.
Yeah, she references early Hochschild's work.
Who's like the pioneer of this whole idea.
Right.
And Hochschild defines emotional labor as, having to display certain emotions as part of your job, even if you don't actually feel them.
Like, it's a performance.
Yeah.
And you're getting paid for that performance.
And Ole is saying, are we now expecting all employees to do this?
To manage and regulate their emotions as like a condition of their employment.
Right.
And she uses those classic examples from Hochschild's book, The Managed Heart.
Like the flight attendant?
The secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jobs where, managing your emotions is like a clearly defined part of the job description.
Right. But now she's saying it's like that expectation has spread to everyone.
Yeah. It's become this like unspoken requirement in so many workplaces.
And then she connects this to the whole thing about behavioral competencies.
Yeah.
Which is huge in HR right now.
It is.
And she's saying these competency frameworks are basically forcing employees to constantly perform.
To like shape their personalities and their feelings.
To fit this mold.
And it's like if your real self doesn't align with those competencies,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're labeled as difficult or, not a team player.
And she tells this story about someone being told by HR to smile.
Yeah.
Like literally told to smile.
Which is just crazy when you think about it.
It is.
Like you're not allowed to have a bad day.
Right.
You have to constantly project this like positive, happy persona.
And that's a lot of emotional labor.
It is.
To constantly be monitoring your own emotions and making sure you're presenting the right ones.
Right.
So Ola's main point is that this pressure to be engaged, to embody these competencies, is creating a much bigger emotional burden than anything HR is dealing with.
Yeah, she's saying that HR might actually be the source of a lot of this emotional labor for everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's important to mention that she links this article to another one she wrote.
Yeah, the one about infantilization and feminization of the workforce.
Right.
And she says that one provides more context for her views on like the role of women in the workplace and how that might be playing into all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like she's saying that like all these different things are connected.
Exactly.
Like the rise of women in the workplace and the focus on engagement and the pressure to perform emotionally.
It's all part of this larger dynamic.
And then she briefly mentions another article, HR has a diversity issue. And maybe that's why they are failing.
Right.
Which points out that, most HR people are women.
Yeah.
Like a lot of women in HR, and especially in leadership roles.
Exactly. And she just throws that out there as like something to think about.
Like maybe there's a connection between the makeup of HR and some of these issues she's raising. It's like she's planting a seed for further discussion.
Absolutely.
So to sum it all up, Ola is basically challenging this whole idea that HR is the biggest victim of emotional labor.
Yeah.
She's saying they might actually be contributing to it in a big way by pushing this agenda of engagement and these strict competency frameworks.
Right. And it's something for all of us to think about, as we navigate our own workplaces.
Like, have you felt that pressure to be constantly positive and engaged?
To fit into this like perfect mold.
To maybe even hide your true feelings.
Because that's a lot of emotional labor. And it's something we need to talk about more openly.
Absolutely.
So if you want to dive deeper into Ola's arguments and check out the articles we mentioned.
They're all linked in the description.
And if you found this deep dive thought-provoking,
hit that follow and subscribe button.
We're always exploring new ideas and challenging the status quo.
So join us on this journey.
There's always more to discover.